Our Denver Broncos have lost 2 of their last 3 games and are looking to get back on track as we start with Sunday Night Football, a playoff rematch against the Buffalo Bills, and then we return to SoFi where we lost to the Chargers last week, and now we're going to face off against their in-stadium foe in the Los Angeles Rams. We've also got the trade deadline today as well. That's what we're going to cover here during the first portion of this video as we come into the deadline with a record of 5-3. Certainly looking to spice things up a little bit and push this roster over the top because given our performance over the last couple of games, it seems like this team could use a boost from where we are right now, currently the 6th seed in the AFC. Of course, we also had a prospect profile in the last episode. We talked about the offensive skill position players in this year's draft class at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. And we've got some more prospect profiles, of course, later in the season as we talk about the big fellas in the trenches, eventually followed by the linebackers and defensive backs. Along with that, again, we lost to the Chargers 28-21 in what ended up being a really crazy game. Not as crazy as the top will show. It's not like all 49 points were scored into the fourth quarter. That's a lie. I don't know why EA says that. But the game, especially the final 5 minutes, felt like a complete fever dream. And there's really no other way to describe it other than going back and watching it. In case you missed that episode, I recommend you check it out in the series playlist, where all episodes of the series are located. So with the Bills and the Rams on the schedule, it's interesting because they might be the 2 best teams in the entire league right now. So we could be in a little bit of trouble. And I think hopefully we can make a potential move or 2 at the deadline to really push us forward. The Bills have the number 1 offense in the NFL. The Rams have the number 1 defense. Both teams are very well rounded. I think they're first and second right now in the league in terms of point differential. So it is certainly not going to be easy, but if we want to stay competitive in what is a great AFC, we're going to have to beat some great teams like Buffalo and the Rams. So that sort of poses the question of what we need to do here at the trade deadline, and I think it's pretty clear our biggest weakness is on the offensive line, but it hasn't necessarily been for a lack of trying. We've really focused on improving the offensive line in this series, and the production hasn't really held up. I'm not really sure what else we can add to that group. So if we make a move on offense, I almost feel like it makes more sense to add a skill position player. Marvin Mims, of course, has been fantastic, but everybody else I feel like has been somewhat mediocre. I think another wide receiver certainly would not hurt. The production we've gotten at that position outside of Mims has been inconsistent. Tez Johnson hasn't really been able to stay on the field. At running back, Ashton Genty's taken a step back from last year. I still see him as the long-term future at the position, but getting a Robin to his Batman might not be the worst idea. Again, the offensive line hasn't been great in pass protection or run blocking. Andrew Thomas has really not been a good pickup for us at all. We traded a first-round pick away for him, and that deal is looking like quite the flop. Theoretically, we could trade him now and get out of that contract without taking a dime of the penalty, but his value has gone way down given his performance this year, and it really wouldn't even make sense for us to do that. This team has invested a lot into the line with big contracts for Rasheed Walker, Ben Powers, Quinn Miners, Mike McGlinchey, who doesn't even really play. Yet none of those guys have really met their expectations in terms of the money they're making. Defensively, we were the best in the league through the first 5 games of the year, but the mighty has fallen fast. I think we've gotten great play from the linebackers, Sanders and Bossa. Patrick Surtain's been better than he was last year. Colin Wright looks like a hit with the 5th overall pick. But the pass rush has been inconsistent, and this was our identity last year. We led the NFL in quarterback sacks. We had 3 guys into double digits in terms of sacks. Has not been the case this year. Nick Bonito has taken a step back after his Defensive Player of the Year campaign. Michael Williams has not taken the step we had hoped for. Jonathan Cooper has regressed from last year. We don't necessarily have a ton of great assets to trade, but it's not like we're missing many picks. But it's also not like we had that Jets pick last year, which of course was ultimately used on Colin Wright. So I decided to look through the trade block at some of the positions I would be considering, which is any of the offensive skill position spots, any of the offensive line spots, and then if we were to make a move defensively, I think it would be another body on the defensive line. We're still very talented up front, and I know what those guys are capable of, but maybe getting another guy in the defensive line room wouldn't be the worst idea. I was pleasantly surprised by the list of skill position players on the block. I mean, there are some legitimately solid young players here, some notable names at running back, wide receiver, and tight end. I don't expect to be as pretty, though, on the offensive line, but Ariante Ursary is an intriguing guy, as is Josh Connerly Jr., both somewhat high picks in the 2025 NFL Draft. And then on the defensive line, again, some solid players. Young guys like Landon Jackson and Jack Sawyer, the former Kansas Jayhawk Austin Booker, Gervin Dexter, Mekhi Wingo, some really intriguing players here who really could be worthwhile for us in a trade. So let's start with the offensive skill position, guys. There's a few intriguing names here listed at running back, and as we look at this higher-rated cluster, I think Zach Charbonnet is the one who would make the most sense for all parties. He's currently with the Seahawks and hasn't really played a big role for this team, sitting behind Kenneth Walker. They also drafted Justice Haynes in the 3rd round this past year out of Alabama. There's not really a long-term spot for him, and he's on the last year of his contract. Jonah Ellis is their first trade offer. That's an interesting one. A solid body for us up front, but maybe an expendable player. Mekhi Hughes with the Washington Commanders is also a pretty good option, drafted in the 3rd round of the 2025 draft. Wasn't all that great last year, and then has been completely phased out of the offense this year with the addition of Javonte Williams, who, of course, they signed from us. This will be a longer-term addition, given that he's got plenty of years left on his deal, and as you can see, they're asking for way too much. Chris Abrams-Drain, a first-round pick? Are they out of their minds? What about Bashul Tutin with the Texans, a day 3 pick a couple years ago, and a prospect who I was quite high on out of Virginia Tech. Superstar development, the ceiling is quite high, but he's stuck in a backfield behind Ollie Gordon, who they drafted in the 1st round that same year. And obviously, Ollie Gordon is the long-term starter here. So maybe a guy like Bashul Tutin would be expendable. Now, they don't have a lot of depth behind Gordon, which might make it a little bit harder for this to happen. And, yeah, as I saw the trades, I don't think I'm going to do that. Let's trade our all-pro receiver away for a backup running back. Flawless idea, EA Sports. No, I'm not interested. I think Bashul Tutin is off the table. So, of these running backs, Charbonnet seems like the one who would make the most sense. At wide receiver, there are some good young players here, but I would be lying if I told you I was not tempted by the idea of acquiring Cooper Kupp. Definitely not the player he's been over the last couple of years, because goddamn, he's been good. 24 touchdowns in Season 1, really good last year. But he's taken a step back this season, even though the Rams are arguably the best team in the league. And there's a few reasons for this. The Rams are very deep at wide receiver. Cooper Kupp is still very useful, but when everyone's healthy, he's going to be their wide receiver 4. Noah Thomas, they drafted 9th overall this year. They really believe in him. We traded them Cortland Sutton last year, who they extended. He's currently injured, but he'll be back next week, which makes me happy because I want to play against him. And of course, they have Puka Nacua, who's an all-pro caliber player who they also just extended. So Cooper Kupp, who's on an expiring deal, feels really expendable. And the offers here are pretty similar to that of Zach Charbonnet. So the question is, who do we think would make more of an impact? And would it be worth it to trade a guy like Jonah Ellis? As I said earlier, I want to add bodies to the defensive line, not take away. Jonah Ellis has been a solid rotational player for us over the last couple of years, but I just don't really see any avenue where he's ever going to become a long-term starter here. Baron Browning and Nick Bonito are both on long-term deals, and I don't really see Jonah Ellis as anything more than a rotational guy. Between Zach Charbonnet and Cooper Kupp, I get that Charbonnet's younger, and you might think he's maybe the better long-term piece, but when we can add a guy like Cooper Kupp to this offense, it's really hard to say no. I think Ellis does make some sense as a fit for the Rams. They've got a lot of good players going after the quarterback, but again, it never hurts to add more bodies. I think an edge rushing group of Jared Verse, Byron Young, and Jonah Ellis could make a lot of sense. The Rams have drafted really well up front. They clearly have an eye for talent there, and I think it could work. Now, I'm going to try it without Jonah Ellis first. It doesn't seem like they want the picks, which is understandable. They're 6-2 in a Super Bowl contender. So I go back to this, a straight-up swap. Jonah Ellis for Cooper Kupp. Obviously, Kupp is the better player right now, given his experience throughout his career. Multiple-time Offensive Player of the Year, Super Bowl MVP, and he's still on pace for around 1,000 yards this season. But Jonah Ellis is the better long-term player. He's only 23 years old, star development, a year and a half left of team control. And we're going to make this deal. So there you go. Cooper Kupp is a Denver Bronco. Probably a short-term thing. He's going to be 34 next year. He's only got 1 year on his deal. I know he's wearing the number 18 right now, but I made sure to fix this prior to the first game today. He will instead wear number 8. We cannot disrespect the Sheriff like that. Nonetheless, this gives us another legitimate star playmaker on the offense to pair with Marvin Mims. I'm not entirely sure who will play the slot when Tez Johnson comes back, but regardless, I don't plan on taking Cooper Kupp off the field. Now we really need another body, though, going after the quarterback. We are very much lacking in terms of edge rushing depth. We just traded away Jonah Ellis, so we're going to need to make another addition. I looked at the trade block. I made sure to look at outside linebacker as well. There wasn't really a whole lot, though, at linebacker, except for one. Josiah Stewart with the Pittsburgh Steelers would be an awesome addition. Drafted in the 3rd round a few years ago out of Michigan. A little bit undersized, but a talented player who has not found the field at all. Really, except for the Week 5 game against us, when Alex Highsmith was banged up, and he played pretty solid in that game. But clearly, the Steelers don't really have a path for playing time with him. The problem is, they still don't want to trade him away. It seems like they're holding him hostage. I decided to look at Keon White on the last year of his deal in New England. And they want some day 2 picks, which seems like a lot for an expiring player. And then they're going to offer us Zamir White, who is a backup running back with a limited ceiling. I'm not really sure why New England would go from, a 2nd and a 3rd all the way down to Zamir White. He would be their 4th string back, so I'm not going to make that deal because it makes no sense for New England. What about the Cardinals and a familiar face here in B.J. Ojulari? He's not on the trade block, but the Cardinals, who are 0-8 and not contending, don't really need him given that he's on the last year of his deal. He's behind a few guys in this edge rushing rotation. I think a day 3 pick would be pretty fair for him. How about a 4th rounder in next year's draft? We don't have one this year, so this would be our offer, and the Cardinals accept it. Keep in mind, draft picks are valued differently as opposed to how they normally would be in Madden. It's a lot easier to hit on a 4th rounder in this game than it would be with the auto-generated classes. But I think it's a good deal for us because I think B.J. Ojulari is a good player. He can be a really solid replacement for Jonah Ellis. It's basically as if we traded that future 4th for Cooper Kupp, which in my opinion is a win. Let's talk about some trades across the rest of the NFL. We've got a lot of big ones, mostly revolving around the defensive side of the ball, but we do have a smaller one here. Michael Mayer going to the Dolphins as the Raiders will be moving up from a 6th rounder to a 4th. The Dolphins aren't all that good, but they're able to add another pass catcher who they can maybe build around. Furious George is being traded from the Kansas City Chiefs. While the Chiefs are on the outside looking in the playoff race, they're not necessarily making this move with the idea of being sellers. Rather, they're not going to pay Karlaftis long term. Their 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rounders in last year's draft were all on the defensive line. Jair Alexander is going to the Rams for a 2nd and a 3rd. The Rams have by far the best passing defense in the NFL, and now they're going to add a playmaker in the secondary with Jair Alexander. The Rams look like legitimate Super Bowl contenders and one of the favorites atop the NFL. The Lions, much like Kansas City, cannot afford to extend Brian Branch. Now, the Lions are pretty much out of the playoff picture. They are 1-6. So he's going to Atlanta for a 2nd rounder and Jonas Sanker, who will replace Branch in the secondary. Big get for Atlanta because Brian Branch is a really, really good player. Fred Warner is on the move from the Niners, who have been quite bad this year, to the Bills. Fred Warner is also expiring. The Niners have not paid him yet. They as well are not exactly swimming in money. The Bills are 6-1. They had the best record in the NFL. They need one more move to get over the hump, and they think this is it. And it's hard to blame them. He is a true Hall of Fame talent. The last deal we have here will involve Kyle Hamilton, and I want to dive a little bit deeper for this one. The Ravens are 5-2. They're a Super Bowl contender. Now, granted, they've got a lot of guys to pay this year and not a lot of money. Headlined by Kyle Hamilton, Marlon Humphrey, and Ronnie Stanley. There's one problem, though. Lamar Jackson just tore his tricep, and I don't believe the Ravens expect Riley Leonard to lead them to the promised land. So because of that, their plans for this trade deadline have to change, and they're going to have to retool this roster so it makes more sense financially, especially given that they're not contending for a Super Bowl anymore this year. So Kyle Hamilton is going to the Dallas Cowboys for their next 2 first-round picks. The Cowboys, of course, just won the Super Bowl this past season. They're having another great year this season. And this secondary is going to be unbelievable. In the cornerback room, they've got Trayvon Diggs, they've got Deron Bland, and Mello Dotson. The safety room is extremely deep with Malik Hooker, Devin Dye. They've got Marquise Bell, and now Kyle Hamilton. Dear God, that is frightening. So a pretty exciting trade deadline across the NFL. I feel good about what we did, adding Cooper Kupp and a familiar face, former St. Louis Dragon B.J. Ojulari, who, by the way, will now be coached by his former teammate Simeon Bonnet. I know the timeline doesn't really work, but we're going to roll with it. Now, of course, we've got a number of players who are injured. Harrison Whaley is healthy, but we cannot yet take him off of IR, so we're going to wait until he's eligible. We do have to cut somebody, so we're going to take Trey Thomas off the practice squad, and Sage Ryan will move on the practice squad off of the 53-man roster. So that sets us up for our matchup here on Sunday Night Football against the Buffalo Bills. And there is a lot riding on this game. The Bills are the number 1 scoring offense and the number 1 passing offense in the NFL. They also have the best record in the league. So for one thing, this is a really, really good team that we're playing on national television. Maybe the best team in the league. The Bills scored at least 32 points in each of their first 5 games of the season. They've quieted down on offense, but they're also coming off a bye week. So that should certainly help them out quite a bit. The Bills are also looking for revenge. We beat these guys on their home turf in the playoffs last year. You think Buffalo forgot about that? Hell no. Not to mention, they just added a guy named Fred Warner, who's pretty good. Obviously, though, things revolve around Josh Allen. He won the MVP last year, and he has been about 100 times better this year. That's frightening. He is playing better at the quarterback position than anybody in the league right now, and it does not feel close. Part of the reason is because Keon Coleman has become a true number 1 receiver, and you can make the argument the 2 best receivers in the NFL through the first 8 weeks of the season are playing in this game, with Keon Coleman on one side and Marvin Mims on the other. The rest of this Bills roster, of course, is outstanding. Really solid line play. Khalil Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, and James Cook also on this offense. And a talented young defense. The young safety duo of Malachi Starks and Cole Bishop. Plenty of good linebackers led by Matt Milano. Greg Rousseau coming off the edge along with the first-round rookie, Reuben Bain Jr. Denver starts with it. Genty to the right side. Breaks the defender's ankles. That was Bishop. And a quick gain of 16. What a run for Ashton Genty to get this one started. Genty's been inconsistent this season, coming off a strong game, though, against the Chargers. As on 3rd down, it's Cooper Kupp to the 42, his first catch as a Bronco. Gonna feel weird not seeing him in Ram colors, but nonetheless, I'm really excited about his addition. As Genty gets it to the outside on 2nd and 4. Big first down run inside the 10. A quick start on this possession for Ashton Genty. And the Broncos offense is looking really solid to open up this game, much like they did throughout the wild card round against the Bills last year. 2nd and goal. Genty stuffed in the backfield for a loss of yardage. Whoa, what is going on there? Harold Perkins brings him down, the second-year linebacker out of LSU. 3rd and goal at the 7. Nix under pressure, hit as he throws, incomplete. Dayo Odengbo with the pressure. A long 5.5-minute drive for the Broncos will end off in a field goal. We moved the ball really well, though. Bo Nix completed his first 5 passes before the incompletion there on 3rd down. Ashton Genty looked good. It was unfortunate that it only resulted in 3 points, though. Bills with it. James Cook gets by Riley Moss, breaks a tackle, and gets the first down to the 43. The Broncos are going to be shorthanded in this game defensively. Baron Browning suffered an injury in practice. He will not go. So we are fully throwing B.J. Ojulari to the Wolves. Kincaid down the field, past the 20, wrapped up by Grant. A rare bad play in coverage by Jeffrey Bassa, who's been one of the best linebackers in the NFL this year, but not so much on that play. 2nd and 4 from the 11. Allen dumps it off somehow for Kincaid, but he is going backwards. Drew Sanders shushes the crowd. He had a pick 6 in the loss against L.A. a week ago. 3rd and 5 now for Buffalo with James Cook in motion. Allen by himself now in the backfield. He will look to throw it back of the end zone. Caught for a score. Curtis Samuel, who had a touchdown in the wild card game a year ago, is in for the touchdown, and the Buffalo Bills take the lead. 2 strong opening drives for each of these offenses, but Buffalo's able to convert in the red zone, and we're not. 7-3, Denver back with it, with under 2 to go in the first. Bo Nix looks to throw it. He's going to dump it off for Genty. This will count as a run play and a big loss. He loses 4. Teron Johnson and friends are there to bring him down as it's 3rd and 14. Nix looks deep. He's got his man. It's Rivaldo Fairweather for the first down. Jonnu Smith also got injured in practice. He will not go today, and that's along with Harold Fannin already being injured. So Fairweather's the only healthy true tight end on the roster. Savion Williams, the receiver, is going to have to play in line a lot. 7-3 going into the second. Bills with the lead. 3rd and 5. Nix calls for motion with Genty. Looking to throw it. Rolls out to the right under pressure. Goes short, and it's caught for a first down by Troy Franklin, who gets it to the 40. Franklin's given us some good moments this year, but his consistency just hasn't been enough as the true wide receiver 2. A big reason for the acquisition of Cooper Kupp. 2nd and 10. On the play action, it's Marvin Mims to the 27. A quick start for Mims. He's already got 5 catches, whereas Keon Coleman has none. Short throw on 2nd down. Caught by Estime. Ball's loose, and it's picked up by Milano. The Bills forced the turnover, and they will get it back on offense. Another pretty solid drive here for Denver, stalling off of the turnover. But this one will be reviewed. Not so fast. So let's take a look at the replay here, and as you can see, he is very clearly down, and the ball comes out because of Estime's contact with the ground. So this play will be reversed, not a fumble, major break for the Broncos, and it's now 3rd down and 6 at the 22. With Zamir White in the game at running back. Nix looks short. Marvin Mims again. Whoop! Breaks away from the defender Milano, and he gets the first down inside the 10. Another really strong drive for Denver, but they've got to finish this one off with a touchdown. 1st and goal. Nix goes short. It's Cooper Kupp, and he is in for a touchdown. Welcome to the Mile High City, Cooper Kupp. In his first game as a Bronco, he gets his first Denver touchdown. And the Broncos are back ahead 10-7. We're giving the Bills, arguably the best team in the NFL, a real run for their money. Bills back with it. Play action. That one is caught by Kincaid. Breaks the tackle and is wrapped up by Grant. This has been a really slow-paced game. Just the second drive for the Bills all day. And we're over halfway through the second quarter. Allen breaks the sack, and it's nearly intercepted. B.J. Ojolari should have had the sack. But Drew Sanders, how do you not catch that ball? He threw it right to you. 3rd and 10. Allen dances around in the pocket. He will throw it away. Good coverage there by the Denver defense, and we will finally get our first punt. Or will we? It's a 59-yard field goal here for the Bills. This kick is up, and it is good. Nails it from nearly 60. What a kick by Joshua Carty, and this game is tied at 10. Denver gets it, 3.5 minutes to go in the first half. It's a 3rd and 4. Nix rolls out to the left, looks to run with it. He gets the first down and plenty of space. Out of bounds at the 46-yard line. Believe it or not, Bo Nix is 2nd in the NFL amongst quarterbacks in terms of rushing yards, only trailing Caleb Williams. Play action. Nix on the run, scrambles with it again on 3rd and 8, and he gets another first down conversion with his legs. When nobody opens up, he's not afraid to let those legs run wild. 2nd and 10, looking for the sideline. Nice throw and catch for the rookie, Chris Brazzell, who gets it to the 17 with a little Brazzle-dazzle. Bo Nix has been ultra efficient today, 16 of 20. Is on 3rd and 5, looking for the corner of the end zone. It's broken up. Tried to get it to Brazzell again. He cannot come down with it. So another failed red zone trip, but we're 3 for 3 on scoring drives as Lutz makes the kick from 29 yards out. It's just about converting there in those short yardage spots. We have lost 8 points as a result. Bills back with it. 3rd and 10. They will get the first down run with Ray Davis. They were waving the white flag, willing to end the drive there. But we were not prepared for the run up the middle. So the Bills call the timeout, and they get new life offensively. 2nd and 10 at the 41. Dump off for Cook, who is leveled by Jeffrey Bossa. The Bills are going to call a timeout here on 3rd and 14. They clearly believe they can still get something going with this drive, as Allen's going to look to scramble with it. Gets by Williams, and Allen runs for the first down past the 50. The Bills do use their last timeout, but They're not complaining with that result. A scramble first down run for Josh Allen. 35 seconds to go, looking short. It is Samuel, the speedster, puts on the Jets, pushed out of bounds at the 24 to stop the clock. The defense is playing kind of soft right now. I mean, we are letting the Bills do what they want here in this essentially now 30-second drill. From the 24, Allen up the middle. They've got James Cook. He gets it to the 14, but they're still in the field of play and are going to have to move to the line quickly. Under 10 seconds to go, they're going to run another play. Allen looks for the sideline. Samuel again is out of bounds at the 5, and I think this is where they're going to bring out their field goal team. Looking to tie the game. Cardi made one from 60 earlier, as Coach Bonnet will look to use a timeout. We'll see if Cardi can make the much easier kick. This one sits from around 22 yards out to tie the game with 4 seconds left in the first half. His kick is up and through. A lot to discuss here going into the second half. I know the score doesn't look that high scoring, but both teams have scored every time they've gotten the ball. 3 drives and 3 scoring possessions for each team. Even though we're tied with one of, if not the NFL's best team, there are certainly some things wrong with how we've played so far that we'll talk about in a moment after our halftime report across the rest of the NFL. Starting in Indianapolis earlier today, a dominant win for the Colts as they would throttle the Cleveland Browns 38-10. The Browns drafted Cade Klubnik, number 1, hoping he would be their franchise savior, and obviously they're going to continue to be patient with him. But the Cade Klubnik experience has not gotten off to a great start. He threw 3 interceptions in this game as the Browns fall to a record of 2-6. Let's take a look at another team who drafted a rookie quarterback in the first round, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Their season hasn't exactly gone to plan at the QB position. They still decided to start Baker Mayfield. Then he got hurt, but Connor Wegman also got injured. Sawyer Robertson, the 5th-round rookie from Baylor, is in, and he would not lead them to victory. Justin Jefferson's touchdown would help lead the Vikings to the win. Kyron Drones only completed 50% of his passes, but he did throw for 2 scores in the win for Minnesota, who improves to 3-5 in what is a not-so-good NFC North. So the door is certainly open for them to make some noise in that division. Apparently, those are the only 2 scores that we're going to be able to look at, which does not make much sense. This is the Sunday night game. Every one with the exception of Pittsburgh and New Orleans should be done, but I guess not. Into the third quarter, offensively, has not been a perfect start to this game. Ashton Genty's first run went for 16 yards. Since then, 9 carries, 4 yards. That's not good. Bo Nix has been really efficient so far, but we have not been able to push the ball downfield, much like last week. Bo Nix really hasn't taken sacks today because he's getting the ball out so quick, but he hasn't necessarily had consistent time to go through his progressions. Defensively, it really hasn't been great with the exception of a couple stops late in possessions. The Bills have scored every time we've gotten the ball. The run defense hasn't been great. We've got no pressure. The pass rush has been non-existent. So I feel like there's a lot to critique with this team, but we also have to look at the bigger picture and recognize we're tied with one of the best teams in the NFL as the defense does force a stop to open the quarter. Chris Abrams drained with the deflection, nearly intercepted. And we get our first punt of the night. Bo Nix fumbles the ball to start this drive, but it's quickly scooped up by Denver. First sack of the game from either team. It's Gregory Rousseau. 2nd and 21, short throw for Genty. That's going to make up all the yards and then some. A gain of 20 for Ashton Genty. That's exactly what the doctor ordered. And now we are looking at a 3rd and 1 for the 45. Play action. Nix looks to throw it under pressure. Hit as he throws. It's picked off by Matt Milano. So Denver turns it over after all. And again, even though Bo Nix has only been sacked once in this game, he hasn't had consistent time to throw it. He's been able to get out of a lot of sacks, including that one. But the pressure alters the pass. It ends up being picked off. And the Bills are going to get very good field position. That drive was hurt by the offensive line, allowing the fumble and then the interception. Allen looking deep. He's got Samuel. Riley Moss is not catching up to him in a foot race. Curtis Samuel's 2nd touchdown of the game. The Bills quickly take advantage of the turnover, and they are back ahead 20-13. We'll see how Denver can respond after the interception as Ashton Genty gets it to the outside. Tries to cut towards the sideline, but he loses 2. Fred Warner in his Bills debut has unsurprisingly been flying around the field. 3rd and 7 now. Nix looks to throw it. Nobody's open. Going to go short, and it is broken up for Zamir White. Rough start to the second half for the Broncos offense with a fumble, pick it up, but then an interception and then a punt. 2nd and inches for the Bills. James Cook goes backwards, wrapped up on the play by Drew Sanders. 3rd and 2 now at the 48 for Buffalo. Play action. Allen looks to throw it under pressure on the blitz. It is caught by Dawson Knox, but not for a first down. Jeffrey Bossa makes the play. He was the one sending pressure in the backfield as Denver gets it back. And now all of a sudden, both defenses are playing really well in the second half. 3rd and 3, Nix is going to throw it away. There was nobody open, and he figured, I'd rather throw it away than take the sack. So the Bills are going to get it back now, and what continues to be a disastrous quarter offensively. Keon Coleman gets a block, and there he goes! Looks to break away from Surtain, and he is in for a touchdown! Keon Coleman's first catch at the game goes for a 50-yard house call, and the Bills add to the lead, 27-13, and now Denver's got to respond at the 35. Nix has an open man. Cooper Kupp, well past midfield, out of bounds at the 35. Very nice play after the catch there by Kupp. Nix continuing to be efficient, 22-31, even though he still cannot really look downfield because he does not have time to go through his progressions. Play action. Nix looking. He's got Mims, and he is in for a touchdown. Marvin Mims with his 9th catch of the game. Denver with a huge score, making it a one-possession contest. Normally, I am pro going for 2 when you score a touchdown and cut the lead to 8, but I decided not to here, given our inconsistencies in short yardage spots today, particularly running the ball. I decided to take the 1. Bills get the first down with Kincaid. That'll do it for the 3rd. 27-20. Buffalo with the lead. I feel like we had more scoring in this quarter than some of the other ones, but both defenses played dramatically better, especially the Bills in the 3rd. I mean, our defense wasn't that spectacular. We had the early stop, but otherwise it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. We allowed the 2 long touchdowns to Samuel and Coleman. And we'll start the 4th of the 3rd and 6. Short pass is caught. First down for Keon Coleman as he gets it to around midfield. If the Bills can get Keon Coleman involved, then this offense would certainly get to another level considering how well he has played this season. Allen on first down looks to throw it. No pressure whatsoever, so he's going to take off and run, sliding at the 35. The identity of our team last year was the pass rush. We had the best pass rush in the NFL. Right now, these guys are not showing up to this game, and it's probably the biggest reason why we're losing. From the 35, Allen rolls out. He's got Cook into the red zone. Breaks the tackle. Breaks another. Somebody's got to bring him down as he gets 31. Inexcusable tackling by the Denver defense, the Denver secondary in particular. That was a disgrace. 1st and goal. Allen looks to throw it. Rolls out. Has space, and he rushes in for his 4th all-purpose touchdown of the night. And the Bills will add to their lead. They're back up by 2 possessions. The defense has not shown up. The offense has not given Bo the help he needs as on 2nd and 8. Cooper Kupp gets to the first down marker, and he is slow to get up, going to the locker room. Ashton Jeanty also got dinged up earlier on the drive. Both injuries are not expected to be long-term or anything, so I think we may have dodged a bullet there. 3rd and 2 now with under 6.5 to play. Nix looks to throw it. Nobody's open downfield. He's going to throw it away. That'll make it a 4th and 2. I think given where we are in this game, desperate times call for desperate measures. Even though we have not been good in short yardage spots, we've got to go for it. Gavin Sawchuk is the running back in the game. He gets it, and he barely gets the first down. That was a close call. Fred Warner quickly brings him down. 3rd and 4, play action. Nix goes short. He's got Savion Williams for the first down. There's a sense of urgency, and our offense needs to move quickly. The problem is we can't look downfield because the offensive line has not shown Bo Nix that they'll give him the time to do so. Nix is under pressure here after a few seconds. Dances around out of the pocket. Look at that space. Bo Nix somehow turned what nearly was a 15-yard loss into a gain of 8. 3rd and inches, short pass caught by Brazel for a first down. We're continuing to move the ball nicely and efficiently down the field, but we've got to get it in the end zone. 3rd and goal. Nix scrambles, and he walks it in for a Bronco touchdown. Deja vu to the playoff game from last year. But I think this one will be coming back. It's a holding call, and it'll be against Mike McGlinchey, who's in the game right now at right tackle because the regular right tackle, Rasheed Walker, has flipped over to left tackle. Andrew Thomas got banged up early on the drive himself. That's 3 guys now hurt. 3rd and goal. Nix rolls out to scramble. He's going to run with it again, and he is going to break some tackles to the 7. You can tell, though, Bo Nix looks exhausted out there. I mean, he is running on fumes right now. 4th and goal, obviously got to go for it. Nix scrambles around, hoping somebody can get open, and he's unable to make a play. Into desperation. Buffalo with the stop. And we'll see if the Bills can chew some clock and finish this game off for good. 2nd and 7 at the 10. Looks like they're going to throw the ball here, interestingly. Allen has plenty of time. He's got Keon Coleman with a first down to the 22, quickly wrapped up by Bossa, as now B.J. Ojulari is banged up. Both of our trade deadline acquisitions are suffering minor injuries. Ojulari was consistently banged up in the Dragon series, so hopefully this is not a sign of things to come. At the 22, here's Ray Davis going backwards. If you're looking for a positive, Drew Sanders has played a good game, as has Jeffrey Bossa, per usual. 2nd and 12, back to Cook now. He's got plenty of room, runs for the first down, and that will just about do it, bringing us to the 2-minute warning. Denver's out of timeouts. The Bills get revenge on the Broncos, winning it 34-20 as we drop to a record of 5-4. We stayed somewhat competitive against maybe the best team in the NFL, but I don't think that's a good way to look at it. This game reminds me a lot of our early matchups last year. Our team looks kind of broken right now, and it's on both sides of the ball. Last year, many of our issues offensively were surrounded by the passing game. Poor blocking, poor receiver play, and poor quarterbacking. But right now, Bo Nix is far from the problem. Now, granted, he didn't play as well as Josh Allen did, unlike the playoff game last year, but nobody has played as well as Josh Allen did this year. Regular day in the office for him. As for Nix, we cannot count on him to throw the ball 47 times. That's just too many. The interception really wasn't his fault. It was because he was under pressure, and he couldn't look downfield. The run game was a total non-factor. After Ashton Genty's first run, he finished the game with 13 more carries for 9 yards. That's not good. Marvin Mims caught the ball 11 times. He did his thing per usual. Curtis Samuel and Keon Coleman also playing well. I thought we had a pretty good debut at a Cooper Kupp, 4 for 55 and a score. And then defensively, this Fred Warner guy is pretty good. 21 tackles and 3 for a loss. Can we get the gold jacket fitted now? The Bills only had 1 sack. Even though their sack numbers were low, I still don't like what we got from the offensive line. Nix was under pressure. We couldn't run the ball. And then our pass rush was absolutely horrific. Nick Bonito's taken a step down from last year. Jonathan Cooper's been worse than last year. Mykal Williams hasn't taken the leap we would have hoped for. Baron Browning was severely missed in this game, and I'm relieved that we will have him back next week against the Rams. And I think this game really showed how important he is for us defensively. We had a few guys get banged up late in the game. Luckily, no long-term injuries as we take a look at our scores around the rest of the NFL. The National Blowout Association might be shifting from the NBA to the NFL. A lot of not-so-close games this week. Players of the week, we've got Michael Penix, Josh Allen, makes sense, hard to argue with that one, Zadarius Smith, and Kenny Moore. So our reward for losing to probably the best team in the AFC is to now play against the best team in the NFC. The Los Angeles Rams have been unbelievably good this year. The number 4 scoring offense, the number 1 scoring defense. They allow less than 14 points per game, and they barely allow 140 passing yards per game, which is insane because teams are usually playing from behind against the Rams and would be throwing the ball often. Look at some of these scores. 27-9 against the Vikings. 55-6 in Week 5 against the Cardinals. Over their last 2 weeks, they've outscored the Niners and Cardinals 59-0. This team is an absolute juggernaut, and they have really set themselves up well for the future and the present at the quarterback position. Matthew Stafford is 38 years old. He is the oldest quarterback in the NFL by far. But Grandpa's still got it. Despite being 5 years older than any other current starters, Matthew Stafford's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL this year. He's right up there with Josh Allen in the MVP race. He's having the best season of his career in year number 18. The Rams drafted Shedeur Sanders in the 4th round a couple years ago. He played quite a bit last year with an injury for Stafford, and he played pretty well. The Rams feel like they had their franchise quarterback after Stafford already on the roster. They've got plenty of solid skill position players with Kyron Williams, Blake Corum. No more Cooper Kupp. He's on our side. But they do have Cortland Sutton, one of many former Broncos on this roster, which also includes tight end Greg Dulcich, who currently sits behind the rookie John Michael Geilenborg as a starter. Defensively, that's their strong suit. They just added Jair Alexander to go along with all the young talent they've added. And as I mentioned, a lot of former Broncos on this team. We get to see Jonah Ellis. Justin Simmons is now with the Rams. And they just signed Xavier Restrepo off of our practice squad to replace Cooper Kupp on the roster. We also lost Sage Ryan. He's going to the Ravens to replace Kyle Hamilton. So we're going to sign DJ Giddens and DJ Glaze. Not sure how I feel about adding a Kansas State guy with DJ Giddens, but I think he's a pretty good player, so we've got to put our bias aside. That'll bring us into Week 10. We return to SoFi Stadium. The Los Angeles Rams have been one of, if not the biggest stories in the NFL this year. 7-2. Matthew Stafford, at 38 years old, is playing the best ball of his career and really is the only guy in the MVP conversation with Josh Allen. Defensively, the best team in football. Through the first month of the season, that was our title. Through 5 games, we had the number 2 scoring defense in the league. 4 weeks later, it's all the way down to 20th. A massive fall from grace on the defensive side of the ball as the Rams start with it, 3rd and 6. Stafford looks to throw it, goes short. He's got the rookie, 9th overall pick, Noah Thomas. Fighting for yardage, he gets the first down. So the good news on defense is that Baron Browning is back this week. But Drew Sanders and Riley Moss both will not go today, the exciting whites. Penalty on 3rd and 3. They're going to say B.J. Ojulari jumped. Can't be having those pre-snap penalties on a 3rd and short. It gives the Rams an automatic first down out of it, and they get to move the chains over something that they didn't even really accomplish. Stafford is sacked on first down by Nick Bonito. He heard us call him out after how he performed not just in the Bills game, but throughout the year. He's taken a step back from last season. 3rd and 21. Another sack! Casa Bonito does it again. His 2nd sack at the drive after only 4 sacks through the first 9 games of the year. So Denver gets it back at the 20. Play action. Nix on the run. He's got Marvin Mims. I want to establish the play action game. It's been hard over the last couple of weeks because teams have found a way to combat that off of blitzes. We need more of that. Gains of 22 with Mims. And here's Genty now up the middle. Nice run. He gets around 16 yards. Remember the last time, though, his first carry of the game went for 16? He did nothing the rest of the way. Hint, that was earlier today against the Bills. We don't want that happening again as Cooper Kupp gets the first down in his return to L.A. A well-deserved standing ovation for the former Super Bowl MVP and really one of the greatest Rams ever. Kupp has it in open space, tackled in the end zone for a touchdown. The Broncos strike first. Cooper Kupp back in L.A. doing what he did a lot in this building, finding the end zone. 2 weeks and 2 touchdowns as a Bronco for Kupp. And it's 7-0. A pretty good opening 9.5 minutes for Denver. As Noah Thomas is wide open, he's going to try to take it 64 yards to the house. He was matched up with fellow top 10 pick Colin Wright. 2 of the top rookies from this year's first-round class so far. And it's Noah Thomas who wins the battle. Colin Wright has not made many mistakes this year, but that was certainly one of them in press coverage against the physical 6'6" Noah Thomas. He's able to create early separation, and he is gone. So the Rams tie it quickly at 7. Denver gets it back at the 34. Next goes short. Troy Franklin with it. Has some space. Gets the first down. Nice tackle, though, by the new acquisition, Jair Alexander, preventing an even bigger gain. 7-7 our score through the first quarter. Our offense is looking quite good. I will say I think the offensive line has played quite well up to this point. Dare I say, Bo Nix has actually had some time to throw it. The run game's been good, and the Rams have a stout defensive front. Hopefully we can keep it going. Short pass caught here by Cooper Kupp. He will be brought down out of bounds at the 37. A quick start for Kupp, who has been a plug-and-play great addition for us. Exactly what we could have expected when we made the trade. Kupp again to the sideline. Gets it to the 19. Cooper Kupp continuing to ball out. I think he's already at 5 or 6 catches today. At the 16, Nix looks to throw it. He's got Kupp again, who is wrapped up at the 6. 5 catches, 63 yards, and a touchdown, and we still got 6.5 minutes in the second quarter. Now at the 2, 3rd and goal, having some trouble punching it in. It's Audric Estime, finds the hole, walks down the red carpet for a touchdown. The Denver Broncos regain the lead. It's now 14-7 as the offense continues to produce here at SoFi, trying to avenge the losing streak. So the Rams get it back now at the 31, 2nd and 6. That's Puka Nacua in motion. Surtain follows. Play action, Stafford on the run. Is he going to try to run for this first down? Yes, he will. At 38 years old, Matthew Stafford certainly not known for his speed. He never really has been, but he gets it to the 43-yard line to keep the chains moving for L.A. Now at the 50, 3rd and 2. Kyren Williams tries to go to the side, and it costs him. Jeffrey Bussa finishes him off. No first down for Kyren, and the Rams are going to have to punt it away. Denver at the 10. Genty with it to the outside. Has blocks. Gets the first down. Really productive start from Ashton Genty. And again, I give the offensive line a ton of credit. They're playing really well right now. We've been critical of them this year, but we got to give them their flowers. Look at all this room to run for Zamir White. He gets 22 yards. Plenty of room from the blockers, and Zamir White does a good job to turn that into a big gain. Now at the 44, under 3 minutes to go in the half. That is Jonnu Smith in motion, back in the lineup. Bo Nix rolls out to the right on the run, hoping somebody gets open, and it's not going to happen. Jonathan Allen, the big fella, brings him down with the sack, as it's now a 2nd and 16 for Denver. Genty with it, looking to make up the lost yards from the sack. Look at this. Big block there as well by Kupp. And again, the offensive line, excellent job. And I don't even really blame the offensive line for the sack on that previous play. Bo Nix held the ball for like 10 seconds. 2nd and 10, screen for White, jukes away from the defender, gets the first down to the 26. Where was all of this last week? Our offense was broken a week ago. Now they're firing on all cylinders. And I may have spoke too soon. I think that one was on the offensive line. Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, the Florida State duo, brings him down. Verse, the former Defensive Rookie of the Year. 3rd and 20, Brazel does not get the first down. He would have gotten it had he not gone for the juke move, but he was trying to get extra yardage, and it's not going to happen. So we're going to have to go for it here on 4th and 1. Nix goes short, and Kupp is stopped shy of the yard to gain. Cameron Curl brings him down. Kupp did hold on to the ball, but he didn't get enough yardage as he's dinged up after the big hit by Curl. And Brazel deciding to be aggressive for extra yards means Denver's not going to score there. Rams back with it. Stafford is sacked again. Nick Bonito has been dominant in this first half, and he had some help from a friend. Baron Browning was there as well. 5.5 sacks on the year now for Browning. 2nd and 18 at the 9. Stafford with a strike up the middle. Wow, what a play. Goes for a first down, and that'll keep the chains moving. The Rams offense feeling reinvigorated. I thought the sack was going to kill their chances of scoring, but maybe not. At the 29, 2nd and 10, up the middle again. Pretty much the same play for John Michael Geilenborg, the talented young tight end out of Wyoming. Look at the clock, though. There's like 20 seconds. The Rams got to get moving. Out of timeouts as Stafford has time to throw it, and he will wisely throw it away. So really the goal here for the Rams, I would say try to get around a 15-yard gain, and then don't get cute. Kick the field goal. Here is Stafford with it. Under pressure from Browning, and he is sacked! Baron Browning! That's going to end the first half. 14-7. Denver holds the lead against the league's most dominant team through the first half of the year. Stafford's got some words with our defensive line. Nick Bonito and Baron Browning have been causing havoc off the edge, and when we're sending pass rush, look how much better the defense plays, comparing last week where Josh Allen was under no pressure to this, where Matthew Stafford's been sacked 4 times. Let's take a look around the rest of the NFL. The Raiders and the Browns, 2 worst teams in the AFC. Currently, Cleveland leads it with this really nice touchdown by Teteroa McMillan, showing off the impressive footwork. Browns ahead 14-10. Both of these young quarterbacks, Cade Klubnik and Jalen Daniels, trying to pick up the pieces on what has certainly not been the starts to their seasons that they had hoped for. But both guys, especially Klubnik, are playing quite well in this game. The New York Jets, like the Rams, have been one of the most fascinating storylines in the NFL this year. Remember, we got their pick last year in the top 5. Well, the Jets have completely turned it around, largely because of the play from this guy, Jalen Milroe. This rushing touchdown was the first of many for the Jets, who come into Miami and beat the Dolphins 40-3. Would you guys like to guess who gets to play against the Jets next week? Boy, I can't wait for that one. Jalen Milroe with 3 touchdowns, Tua Tagovailoa with 4 interceptions. Can we, for once, maybe get an easy game on this schedule? I'm tired of playing good teams. And in Foxborough, a low-scoring game from earlier today. The Patriots defeat the Chargers 14-10, so at least we get some good news over here. The more Chargers losses, the better. They right now are in control of this division. We're going to see them in a couple of weeks after we play the Jets because, again, every team on our goddamn schedule is unbelievably good. We're playing against 17 super teams, it feels like, this year. Obviously, that's an exaggeration. We got to play the 0-10 Cardinals, but nonetheless, we have the Bills and Rams today, the Jets and Chargers up next. Can we get an easy game for once? Anyway, going into the second half, we've only scored 1 more point on offense than we did in the first half against the Bills, but it just feels like our offense is in way more of the rhythm right now. And defensively, I like what we've gotten as well. The coverage has been solid, the run defense has been pretty good, and the pass rush has been night and day from a week ago. 2nd and 3, read option for Nix, and this one is going nowhere very quickly. The former All-Pro and longtime Denver Bronco, Justin Simmons, brings him down, and now we are looking at a 3rd and 5. Mims in motion. He's been quiet today. Play action. Short throw caught by Mims. Looks to break the tackle from Ernest Jones. He cannot, but he does get the first down nonetheless. Or does he? This one is coming back. It's an illegal man downfield on Ben Powers, and it's now a 3rd and 10. We've been gassing up the offensive line just for that. 3rd and 10 at the 43. Nix now looks to throw it. He kind of has to go downfield, but he doesn't have enough time to throw it. Kobe Turner with the pressure, and unfortunately, I think Troy Franklin would have beaten the safety up top. If Bo Nix has an extra 2 seconds, I think there's a chance Denver takes that for 6. Stafford tries to combat the blitz. He goes short for Kyron Williams, who throws Baron Browning off his back. Gets it to the 35. The blitz led there by Jeffrey Botza. We've been having him blitz quite a bit as of recent, and he's done really well at that. I mean, Jeffrey Botza is a complete player. No exaggeration when I say he's one of the best linebackers in the league. Nice first down run for Kyron Williams, and look who's injured. The All-Pro corner, Patrick Surtain, who has played to that pedigree this season, unlike a year ago. He'll go to the locker room. His day is done. So Benjamin Morrison, who started a couple weeks ago against the Chiefs, will take his place on the outside. 3rd and 4. Nice grab by Puka Nacua. He's wrapped up by Savon Revel, who is getting the start at safety today with Riley Moss banged up. I think Revel's actually played quite well. He's really struggled in the NFL at cornerback, but I think he's been pretty good at safety. 2nd and 3, Stafford, end zone, touchdown! We are tied at 14. The rookie out of Wyoming, John Michael Geilenborg, one of the many talented young tight ends in this class. I thought about drafting him, but ultimately we decided to wait a little bit, go with Harold Fannin, who hasn't really produced for as much and is currently injured, but we still certainly like him for the long term. Look at all this space for Genty. Gets a big block from Estime and is pushed out of bounds at the 31. 9 carries for 87 yards today for Ashton Genty. A complete 180 from a week ago where he had less than 1.5 yards per carry. 3rd and 10, Nix goes short at Zamir White, and he does not get the first down. We were unable to convert on a 4th and 1 earlier. I don't really want to try it again. Let's just take the lead here. Our defense has been good today. Let's trust them to get a stop. Lutz from 39. It squeaks in. And so the Broncos are back ahead. Normally, it's very much against my philosophy to kick a field goal on 4th and 1. But we haven't necessarily shown we can get short yardage spots, even in the run game, with Genty's efficiency. Stafford on the screen is sacked. Nick Benito is there to lead the way again. This left tackle, Kelvin Banks, the former first-rounder, has gotten abused by Benito today. 3rd and 19, nearly another sack, as Stafford has to get rid of it. That was Javon McIntyre off the blitz. The rookie from Kansas getting some extra reps with Drew Sanders out as Denver has it back. 3rd and 12. This one is caught, and it will go for a first down. Nice grab. hauled in by Jonnu Smith, who brings it to the 37. Under a minute to go in the quarter. We'll see if Denver can look to continue to move the ball down the field, try to add to the lead as Genty tries to bounce off his blocker, but he's unsuccessful. It's Jonah Ellis who brings him down, the former Bronco, with the tackle for loss. And it is now a 3rd and 12 here for Denver. Nix calls an audible at the line. Jonathan Allen is in the zone. Can't say I love that. Short pass is caught by Kupp, and he does not get the first down, wrapped up by Jair Alexander. So a 4th and 5 decision we've got going into the 4th. Nonetheless, we have the lead, and even if we do end up losing this game, I still feel like we've played a lot better than we did last week. Our team just looks like they're in more of the rhythm. The defense has gotten their identity back. The offense looks good again. The problem is we can't really afford to lose many more games at 5 and 4, so we kind of have to hold on. 49-yard field goal for Lutz is good. We ultimately decide to kick there rather than go for it. It's a 6-point game as the Rams get it back. At the 31, 2nd and 6, here's Stafford. Throws it into the middle of nowhere. It's incomplete, but I think the Rams are going to end up with a first down anyway. Defensive pass interference called against Denver. That one is against Marvin Grant, who we've used all around the defense today. Throughout the season, we have had him mostly at safety, but with Sanders hurt, he's playing elsewhere. Look who it is in the backfield on 2nd down. Nick Benito doing the LeBron celebration. I think he now has 4 total sacks. He's been in there really for more than 4 if we count half sacks. 3rd and 12, it's a screen for Kyron Williams, and he does not get the first down. Jeffrey Bassa and friends are there to bring him down, so the Denver defense forces a punt, and they'll get it back on offense with under 7 to go. 3rd and 11, Nix up the middle, Marvin Mims gets the first down to the 31. That's just his 3rd catch of the game. Jair Alexander's done a fantastic job with Mims, shutting him down, something that no other corner has been able to say this year. Jonathan Allen forces a loss of 3 on Genty. Greg Penn III, the second-year linebacker from LSU, was there as well. 3rd and 13, Nix looks short, and it is dropped. Kind of. That went like off his hand, but it wasn't necessarily a drop. I don't know how to explain it. So the Rams are going to get another opportunity. 4.5 minutes to go. 3rd and 4. Stafford's pass is caught. That'll go for a first down. It's Puka Nacua to the 46. The Rams are not yet in a time crunch with the clock. They've still got time to move the ball down the field. Now just under 3.5 minutes. We're looking at a 3rd and 4 at the 48. Stafford is alone in the backfield. He will look to throw it, and it is broken up. Big stop defensively. I think that was Marvin Grant who got a hand on it. And the Rams are going to punt it? 4th and 4 at the opposing 48 with under 3.5 minutes to go when their run defense hasn't been able to stop a fly? I don't know if I agree with this one. Well, let's prove the Rams wrong and try to end this game. 2nd and 1, Genty to the outside. Big first down run past the 50, but a good tackle there by Justin Simmons because he pushes Genty out of bounds. Still a nice run, though, as Genty's now over the century mark in yardage. After a penalty, it's a 1st and 20. Jonnu Smith in motion. We're going to look to throw it, but we certainly want to avoid an incompletion. Nix has space to run, so he's going to do that instead, and he gets around 8 yards. That play certainly works because it keeps the clock going and makes up most of the yardage from the penalty. As it's now a 2nd and 12, we'll go back to Genty. Doesn't get much, maybe a yard or two. And it's a 3rd and 10 going into the 2-minute warning. The Rams are going to have to start using their timeouts here, you'd think. Nix looks to throw it. His pass is caught. Jonnu Smith inbounds, gets 6, and we've got a decision to make. Do you go for it? Do you kick the 60-yard field goal, or do you punt it? So the punt team is out. We trust our defense to get this stop. And it's a fake! Estime breaks the sack, but he can't make the throw! So Denver decides to fake the punt. It doesn't work. I can already see the comments hating the play call, but I'll say this. Did any of you expect a fake? There's a reason why I rarely run fake kicks and punts. Unless your name is Dan Campbell, you're not getting away with it. I want teams to be completely caught off guard, and I think the Rams were. They didn't cover that play well, but they did send a lot of pressure. So they will get one more chance on offense as Nacua loses 4. Big tackle for Benjamin Morrison, and we are now looking at a 3rd and 9. Stafford looks to throw it, goes short. That's caught for a first down. John Michael Geilenborg makes the play, and the Rams use a timeout. 2nd and 10 now for LA at the 44. They would still need a touchdown to win this, keep in mind. Up the middle, Puka Nacua with a first down. Another reason why I felt comfortable with the prospect of faking the punt is because in the case that we didn't get it, I do trust the defense. This looks like the defense of last year and the first 5 weeks of this year. Not so much on that play, though. Nacua on the comeback gets it to the 11, and he's out of bounds. Now I think it might be time to get a little bit nervous. In the red zone, defense has got to get a stop. 2nd and 10, Stafford, end zone, touchdown! What a final drive for Puka Nacua. On those last 2 catches, he did not have much separation from Colin Wright, but he still makes the play both times, and now the Rams are winning. Now, we've still got 3 timeouts. We've still got 34 seconds left, but this is also a game we should have had won, and now we've got to come back. We saw the game-winning touchdown against the Chiefs earlier this year. That one's nearly intercepted. Oh, my goodness, we dodged a bullet. Bo Nix has done a great job of keeping the ball out of harm's way, but he nearly blew it that time. 2nd and 10. Nix scrambles, looks to run. Give me a block, Coop. There you go. And he is tackled at the 46, and they're going to say he was out of bounds. That stops the clock. 2 timeouts. 2nd and 2 at the 38. We're going to run it with Genty. Gets nothing. Part of the reason why I ran it wasn't so much to get the time lower or to try to get us closer to field goal range. I didn't want to throw the ball. I wanted to avoid a sack there. On a 2nd and short, normally you try to go deep, run some play action. We are going to do that on 3rd down, but it's incomplete for Jonnu Smith. And now 4th and 2 with 10 seconds left. This play is for the game. It's a 55-yard field goal for Will Lutz. You could try to make the argument to go closer, but we got to give our kicker a chance to win this game. Will Lutz has been really solid this year. One of the better kickers over the last decade. From 55 for the win. It looks good, and it is short! He missed it! Will Lutz's kick is barely short! And the Los Angeles Rams will hang on to win it. 21-20, the Rams survive. The Broncos have now lost 4 of their last 5 games and have dropped to 500. This game was very winnable. In hindsight, would I have done the fake punt again? Hell no, we lost the game. But, again, I think the rationale for that play call is, for one thing, we don't fake kicks around here. I think that's the first time in the entire series that I've called a fake. I didn't think the Rams were going to expect it, and I was right. Look at the coverage here. The receiver's wide open. The problem is, fittingly, the blockers are the ones who blow it by letting the Rams punt team get right by them to be able to make a play on Audric Estime. Estime's no quarterback, but if he has an extra second to throw the ball, I think he can get it to triangle for the first down. That would have put us in position to seal the game. So, nonetheless, I don't feel like we played that badly. The Rams might be the best team in the NFL, and we lost by 1. Now, if we were 7-2, that would be something to hold our heads highly about. The problem is we're not 7-2. We can't really afford to lose many more games. Both quarterbacks went 24 for 34. Stafford was clutch at the end with a big drive late. Bo Nix, again, I feel like played quite well. Now, I will give the offensive line credit. I thought they had a much better game overall. We ran the ball at a high level. Ashton Genty had one of his better games of the year, finishing with over 100 yards. Bo Nix was under some pressure, but not as much pressure as it's been throughout the year. And I think the biggest reason for that, or maybe not the biggest reason, but partly, is because Andrew Thomas was not on the field. He got injured in the first half, so we had to replace him. And it seemed like our offensive line was better off without him. Given the investment we made into him, I'm not going to bench him. But his season from hell essentially continues. Puka Nacua, 11 catches, 98, and a score. He was money down the stretch. 8 for 79 for Cooper Kupp. He was really good. Marvin Mims, though, quite quiet. By far his worst statistical game of the year. The Rams' offensive line really struggled. Our pass rush had its way. 5 TFLs, 4 sacks for Benito. Baron Browning had a sack and a half. Good to see those guys really getting active. The secondary, who I thought actually wasn't that bad against Buffalo, was the weak link in this game defensively. Losing Surtain certainly hurt. Colin Wright finally had some rookie moments if you will. Probably the worst game of his career. As we take a look at some scores across the rest of the NFL. As for your players of the week, the first thing I notice is that Matthew Stafford wins it on the NFC side. That's now, like 3 of the last 4 or 5 weeks that we've led up a player of the week, including both today. Now, granted, Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford have been the 2 best quarterbacks in the NFL, but still, not a great look. Bo Nix is 8th, by the way, for the MVP, and while we're here, we're going to continue to look at these awards. Nick Bonito is 1st for Depoy. He won Player of the Week this week. Well-deserved. I don't think he should be in first place, though. He has not been consistent at all throughout the season. Colin Wright should be way higher than 9th for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I get he had a bad game against the Rams, but he's been fantastic otherwise. Bo Nix is lower for best quarterback than he is MVP, I would guess because of his rushing stats. Marvin Mims is the 5th best receiver, is insane. How is he number 5? He's been unbelievable this year. Marvin Mims is closer to the best player at his position right now than Nick Bonito. Baron Browning's numbers are worse across the board, but he has been more valuable this season than Nick Bonito. Surtain at 9 for best DB, I think is pretty fair, though. He has played really well this year. Maybe it should be higher, and we really missed him in the second half of this game. So next time around, it's not going to get much easier. We've got more good teams on the schedule. The red-hot New York Jets with Jalen Milroe. Then we've got the Chargers again. I think next episode we're going to do another 3-weeker. So that means we're going to get through 4 weeks in the next episode. There's 8 weeks to go in the regular season, and we'll basically do half of it, including these 3 games with the Jets, who are a playoff caliber team, the Chargers, who are a playoff caliber team, and then the Raiders, who are a division rival. So we've certainly got a lot to work on. We've lost 4 of our last 5 games. The Super Bowl contender that we saw in week 5 has evaporated, and we've got to figure it out. Now it's the 10th seed in the AFC. We played against the 2 best teams in the league today. We weren't necessarily expected to win, but when you're a good team like this, in order to be the best, you got to beat the best. Hope everybody enjoyed. Nonetheless, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.